If you have too much mold in your clay, don't throw it away. Try this instead. Hi, Marie here from Pottery Crafters. In this video, I'm going to try several ways to get rid of the mold, or at least lessen the mold in your clay. Now, a little mold is natural in all clays. Some clays more than others, and mold helps with the plasticity in clay. Helps mold it. Given the right environment, mold can thrive in clay and over time become a health problem, especially if you're allergic. Now, I recycle all of my clay. I hate to waste, even my clay water, and that tends to build up mold, especially when I don't pour out the extra water right away. I chose 3 different ways to keep the mold at bay. Let's see which one or ones work the best. All the supplies used in this video and the suggested videos are listed for you below in the show notes. Start with the bone dry clay. In my last recycling video, I just broke up the clay in the open. Since then, I started using the plastic bag so I can see where I'm breaking up the clay and the clay dust isn't flying all over. Works out a lot better. So if you don't want the clay dust flying all over the place or even clay particles flying up, this is a really good way to do it. Now, the reason why I don't break it up on the top of the plastic bag, which would be much easier, I get holes like this. And then, of course, the clay bits come through. Now that the clay is broken up, I'm going to measure out 4 pounds of clay for each pillowcase. Now I'll pour a ½ gallon or 2 liters of water in each bucket. 4 ounces or 118 milliliters of vinegar. 4 ounces or 118 milliliters of bleach. 4 ounces or 118 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. Place a knot in the pillowcases. I do this because it's much easier to put the hook in when the pillowcase is wet for hooking it to the tree or whatever else you have available to hook the clay onto. Place the clay in the buckets. Place the whole pillowcase in the bucket. Otherwise, the water will transfer out and out of the bucket. So it's important to keep the whole pillowcase in the bucket. Now let the water do its magic and rehydrate the clay. Let these sit, lift them up, and check them from time to time until you feel that the clay is rehydrated and there are no chunks in the clay. Nice and soft. When all of the lumps are out and the clay is nice and soft, I hook it on the tree to get the excess water out of the clay. Use the handy hook. Make sure the bucket is over the dripping water. Okay, let the excess water come out of the pillowcases. This is the clay that I put the bleach in. Now, here comes the fun part. I love doing this. When it's still too moist to wedge, I take the clay and peel it away from the pillowcase, but don't take it out, and move it to the middle of the pillowcase. This is to give the clay some room when I flatten it out. Now, just like you would do when you're hand building and you want to flatten out a slab of clay, slam it down on the table. flip it around and slam it towards you. As you can see, the clay is flattening out. Once it's nice and thin, set it aside and let it dry some more. Now, for the clay that I put vinegar in, place it in the center. Now for the hydrogen peroxide clay. Here's another quick tip. If you can't be around the studio to keep an eye on the clay, just grab your clay slabs, place them in the plastic bag, and when you can be there to keep an eye on them, take them back out. This is important because you really don't want to have them dry out and go through the process all over again. Once you're able to keep an eye on the drying, take them back out. Check your clay from time to time, and I can see that this is not ready to wedge. Just poke your finger in there and you'll know this one's not ready either. I like to set my timer for half-an-hour increments just in case it slips my mind, and check on them. I do a half an hour only because I'm in the dry climate and clay does dry out faster than the more humid climates, of course. The clay that I added the vinegar to is ready to wedge. I found the spiral wedge to work the best for me. After the learning curve, I found it to be the fastest way to wedge my clay thoroughly. It only takes around 3 to 4 minutes, which is pretty fast. You can hit the like button anytime during this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video comes out. It's good to know that there are different ways to wedge. Now the clay that I added the bleach to, it's soft enough to wedge now. Nice and malleable. Or in the workable stage. Now I have a video on 3 different ways that you can wedge. And if you're having a hard time with wedging, go to my video and find out which one you like the best. Now, if you start wedging and the clay is a bit wetter than you felt, there are several things you can do. Place it back in the pillowcase and slam it around and set it aside for another half an hour, or just continue to wedge it out. If you continue to wedge it, I'd move it around the dry spots to dry the clay out faster. Now, having the clay be a little too wet is much better than having it dry out too much. Then you may have to just start all over again, and we don't want to do that. Cut it in half. That looks good. 4 pounds of bone-dry clay came out to 5 pounds. I'm going to have to wait a few days to see if any mold forms, and then we'll see which one works the best. First, I'll take the one that was rehydrated with the bleach water. I may get a little mold, but all clay does have mold. You just don't want a lot of mold. It is great for plasticity and workability, but I hate the smell. So far it looks pretty good. Now I'll check out the clay with the vinegar. Let's see how the center looks. Oh, there is no mold in the center. There's mold around the edges. That's interesting. So when I rehydrate my clay, I don't use it right away. I have it sitting in bags, so I don't want it to grow the mold on it. Now I'll check out the hydrogen peroxide. Let's see if any mold grew on this in 4 days. Now this has mold in the middle, but not around the edges. Interesting. Let's say I can't trim for a while. Maybe a few days to even a week. So I'll let the clay bowls sit in the damp box for 5 days to see if any mold will form before I take them off the bats. This is the bowl that I rehydrated with the hydrogen peroxide water. I let it sit in a damp box for 5 days to see if any mold has accumulated on the bottom of the bowl. Oh yeah. So the 4 ounces or 118 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide in the half gallon or 2 liters of water did not get rid of the mold. Now I'll see how the bottom of the bowl is with the vinegar water. That didn't work either. Let's try the bowl that I rehydrated the clay with in the bleach water. Okay, now this one isn't as bad. Still has the mold in it, but not as much. Well, all is not lost, because I'm going to use the exact same process to rehydrate the clay, except this time I'm adding 8 ounces or 236 milliliters of each product in a half a gallon or 2 liters of water. 8 ounces or 236 milliliters of vinegar. 8 ounces or 236 milliliters of bleach. 8 ounces or 236 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide. See how quick and easy this is? I tried the ratio of 1 to 16 equal parts first because I want to use the least amount of each product that I can. Let's see how the ratio of 1 to 8 equal parts instead of 1 to 16 equal parts works. After letting the clay sit for 5 days, the clay with the bleach has no signs of mold, which is a good thing. The clay with the hydrogen peroxide looks the same. And the clay with the vinegar looks the same. No mold has formed yet. These bowls have been sitting in the damp box for 5 days now, and I want to see if any mold has grown underneath the bowls. This is the clay that was rehydrated with hydrogen peroxide. I see a touch, not much mold, and I don't smell any, so that's a good sign. Let's take a look at the clay that was rehydrated with vinegar. Oh my gosh! I've never seen anything like this. This bowl is hairy. It's a hairy bowl. I think a little bit of mold has grown on this bowl. If you've ever seen hairy pottery or hairy clay before, let me know in the comments section below. I personally have never seen this before. Let's see if there's any mold underneath. I don't even want to touch it. Now, underneath, I don't see any mold. Interesting. Well, I don't think I'm going to be using the vinegar to rehydrate my clay. Wow, this is amazing. Hairy bowl. Now the clay that was rehydrated with bleach. This looks pretty good. I don't see any mold at all. There's a huge difference between the clay that I rehydrated with just water and the clays that I rehydrated with hydrogen peroxide, vinegar, and bleach. Now I thought the results were pretty interesting. I don't think that I would use the vinegar. I didn't like the results on both the 1 part vinegar to 16 parts water or the 1 part vinegar to 8 parts water. And I don't like hairy bowls. Now the hydrogen peroxide, I would probably use that because it seemed to get rid of a lot of the mold. And maybe a little more hydrogen peroxide to the water, but if you don't have that much mold, it works out really good. I would use the bleach. The plasticity in the clay stayed the same. Now keep in mind, all of my clays had a lot of mold in them. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever a new video comes out. I hope this helped you in deciding which product you want to use to keep the mold down in your clay. You watching helps me to make more videos, like this one. Now head on over to my 21 wheel throwing tips video, or my 3 ways to wedge clay video. If you do, I get to play with more clay. Let's stay dirty